Hi, everybody. Welcome to Broadway.com's Live at 5. It is Tuesday, May 22nd, and my name is Ryan Lee Gilbert.
My name is Paul Wantora. What's that guy's name?
We're joined here in the studio by Mr. Eric King.
Hello, everyone.
And there's another guy here, too.
Yeah, it's cold in here, guys. Want to know why? We have a cold, pretty cool guest. Greg Hildreth from FROZEN is here.
FROZEN, Olaf.
Olaf himself.
Woo, round of applause.
But we will get to Greg in just a moment, because first we have to go through today's, well, in about 5 moments, because first up, today's top 5.
Okay, you guys, we don't have to say bye, Felicia, for just a little bit longer.
Oh, okay. Wow, I see where this is.
You're really stretching it. So
no,
Eric
that
likes
was
to
great.
come up with fun little puns and quips.
You're going to get it all
so
now.
Felicia Rashad,
yes.
I'm going to explain it. Felicia Rashad directed Our Lady of 121st Street at Signature off Broadway. It's a
great.
big hit.
It's huge. It's great.
It's huge.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's very well done.
Oh, you saw it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that for like on-camera banter?
No, it's very good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's Stevie and Adley Gerges' of course, acclaimed play, and it's now extended.
It is.
Because Ryan liked it.
Because I liked it.
So they decided to extend it to 1 week, to June 17th.
Right.
Yeah, and it takes place in a funeral home.
It does.
All these, like, characters.
It's really funny, but also like
all these characters.
Really
That's the way
dark.
to describe any play.
It's this play with all these characters. No, but it's very well done. It's very good.
Good.
Very
I'm glad
funny.
you liked it.
Yeah,
So go see it.
And hot off her Big Brother win, Marissa Jarrett Winokur has a new gig.
She does. She's headed to Hollywood.
Wait, that's all you can come up with on that one, Eric?
That one.
I mean,
no.
Listen, there's someone. Number 5's gonna make your head spin.
Tell me about Human again, or anyway. Sorry.
But no, yes, the Hairspray Tony Award winner is headed to California. She lives
in California.
But I mean, she came back here to talk to you. Now she's headed back. You see what I'm doing?
I think she headed back. Literally, she went to the airport right after Live at 5.
Oh, okay. Well,
so she's been back for a while.
She's staying home because she's going to play the wardrobe in the Hollywood Bowl presentation of Beauty and the Beast. And she's singing that song, Human Again.
What's her name? The wardrobe? It's French. I don't know.
Surely.
But
the role Audra played in the movie.
I like the song Human Again. It was in the Broadway. Really it was in the Broadway Beauty.
And then it was cut.
I know, it's cut. It's a cut number now.
It's a cut number, but now Marissa is bringing it back to all of us. By the way, this is happening May 25th and 26th at the Hollywood Bowl.
Who else is in it?
Stars. Huge stars.
Star-studded.
Zoe Deschanel, who just finished up her time on Fox's New Girl.
Whatever happened to her Coal Miner's Daughter musical?
Oh, I don't know.
That was supposed to happen.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen. I wonder if it still is. But anyway, Anthony Evans, Zoe Deschanel is playing Belle. Anthony Evans is the Beast. Tony winner Jane Krakowski as Mrs. Potts. I love that. Kelsey Grammer as Lumiere. Taye Diggs as Gaston. And Rebel Wilson as LeFou.
Did you know contractually I have to applaud when you say Jane Krakowski?
Of course you do. Yes, absolutely. She's owed that much. Yeah. So yeah, May 25th and 26th, Beauty and the Beast, Marissa Jarrett Winokur. Go see it.
Okay, and we have winners for the awards that are off, and off Broadway shows.
Oh, but some off Broadway.
How do you differentiate between off and off? Is that just a joke?
Wow.
No, I'm asking. Is there a thing as such a thing?
I think there might be.
Another joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like people, like actors, always like to say, like, well, that was off,
Yeah.
But it's just everything's.
Maybe there is. I don't know.
Anyway,
I'm not hip to
OBs.
it.
I don't know how could they possibly see every show.
I don't know.
I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Apparently they do.
And John Leguizamo hosted the OB Awards last night, and a lot of fantastic people. Some I know, some I don't, and I'm sure these are all like up and coming talents.
Yeah.
But some people we do know. Will Swenson won for Jerry Springer, the opera. Denise Goff,
amazing.
Tony nominated Denise Goff, won for People, Places, and Things. All three.
Yep.
All three of those. And who else? Jessica Hecht, Billy Crudup, Kathleen Chalfant of the original Angels in America.
She was like a special honoree that night.
She won a Lifetime Achievement.
Carrie Coon.
Carrie Coon, it's great.
Yes.
So congratulations, Rajiv Joseph won for Best New American Play.
Right.
Won $1,000. What are you going to do with that?
This I did not see. Describe the Night. I did not see that.
Describe the Night.
But apparently it's incredible.
I
missed it.
Ryan, you can't see everything, but the OB voters
they
do.
see it all. Yeah. Congrats to all those winners, though.
Off.
So Kevin Chamberlin is returning to Broadway tonight.
Yes, I love Kevin Chamberlin, and he is headed into Wicked. He's going to be playing the Wizard. He starts tonight at the Gershwin Theater. Great cast over there doing Wicked right now. Of course, he is a 3-time Tony nominee for Dirty Blonde, Seussical, and The Addams Family. I loved that show, too. He has got plenty of Broadway credits, but we'd love to have him back on the boards, playing the Wizard. Great role. I believe he talked to our news editor, Andy Lefkowitz, gave him a great quote about how excited he is to do it, and we're excited to have him here.
Do you think Kevin Chamberlin, like, in the 90s would have been Olaf? If Frozen had existed? Maybe.
He may have.
I don't know. He could have been good.
We could ask Greg.
I don't know. Do you think Greg has an opinion on who would have played that role in other decades?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Anyway, he's always fantastic, and he's going to be
he's such a sweetheart, yes.
He's going to be awesome.
And Papa Gay, don't come around me. Just kidding. Come back anytime you like.
That was the one you were looking forward to.
Original cast member of Once on This Island, is back. She's Papa Gay, and of course Tamara Gray has been playing.
Yes,
she's been here at Live at 5. I saw her play; she's fantastic. But we missed Merle Dandridge, and so she will be back. She left January 7th, which was a while ago, and she'll be back from June 18th to August 19th.
So the summer.
That's not the whole summer, but then she'll leave again. And then Tamara Gray will come back. So they're basically just like back.
Well, there must be like a Greenleaf, break right now where, because that's.
But do we know what else she's doing other than Once on This Island? I mean, she does a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah, I think Greenleaf is the name.
Oh, Greenleaf is the name. Oh,
yeah.
Greenleaf.
Yeah.
Is that the one on OWN?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, she'll be back, and she's fantastic in the role. So welcome
and it's
back,
a fantastic
Merle.
show. Yeah. All right.
Oh, I'm out.
Paul, I think yes. No, you've been great. Thanks so much for doing the news with me.
Plus, I contractually can't. My hair can't be on camera with Greg Hildreth.
That's right. And we're a week out from your birthday, so you have this whole use it all up. Thank you very much, Paul. Eric, tell us a little bit about today's wonderful guest.
I'd love to. Okay, Greg Hildreth is currently starring as Olaf in Frozen on Broadway. Previous Broadway credits include Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, Peter and the Starcatcher, and Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. He has also starred in The Robber Bridegroom and received a Lucille Lortel Award nomination for Outstanding Featured Actor in a Musical. Greg has also appeared on The Good Wife and was featured on Laura Osnes' iconic Broadway.com vlog, The Princess Diary. Make sure to follow him on social media at Greg_Hildreth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ryan and Greg. Oh, and leave your comments in the Facebook comments below. Sorry.
Yeah, leave your comments in the Facebook comments.
Hello there, sir.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Olaf.
Yeah.
Olaf is here in the Broadway.com studio. How are things going at the St. James Theater in that Disney musical?
We are having such a great time.
Yeah.
We're seeing lots of crowds, which is really, really fun. And, we have a really great group, as you know, in a long-running musical. That makes all the difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are you still loving it? Because I know if initially, when everything started, obviously you had so many people looking forward to the show for so long.
Yeah.
Lots of kids, and that Olaf entrance, chaos every single time. Is it still? Are you still loving the energy in the theater every night?
Totally, yes, absolutely. It's the only way, when you're exhausted, to kind of coast on the audience's energy, and especially in the matinees, it's like a kiddie rock show. They're throwing lollipops and things like that, pacifiers. It's crazy.
I have nieces and nephews who were very excited that I was going to get to meet Olaf today.
Really?
So, of course. Tell me a little bit, because I believe you've talked about before that Olaf is essentially like a little boy, right? Is that the kind of like characterization?
Yeah,
how did you find your Olaf?
Well, when I was getting stuck in rehearsal sometimes, and I would become distracted by playing a joke or distracted by doing a gag or trying to be funny. And Michael Grandage would come up and say, he's just a little boy. Stop doing all of that stuff. Just play him as a little boy. And that really, really helped. And it also helped because I have a history doing Shakespeare, and so does Michael. So we also kind of came up with this idea that he's like a Shakespeare clown as well, kind of all naive and all knowing and can ask questions that other people can't ask or notice things that other people don't notice. And in that way, he's kind of the conscience of the play.
Yeah, right. And there are, to be fair, you're doing two performances essentially, because there is an Olaf puppet that you control, but also you're there and you can be seen completely.
Yeah.
Did that take getting used to as well, or is it more natural than we would think?
Well, there were I worked with the puppet for about 2 years. Michael Curry was kind of teaching me. And, you know, we spent a lot of time looking at the puppet in the mirror and coming up with different expressions and things like that. And two things that I think are very interesting. One was, I mean, for a long time I've been really, really into puppets, but have never had any kind of like formal training or anything like that. And I remember the first day putting the puppet on, and I started crying. Curry was helping me put the puppet on. I started crying. And I was like, I feel like I'm meeting a new friend. And he was like, we found out after that very first day of you working. He said, normally we take the whole day to get the person comfortable in the suit with the harness and everything.
Sure.
And just, you know, he was like, but you put it on and you just went across the floor. And it's true. I was like super ready, and it was super intuitive for me. I mean, it still was a lot of work. But it was super, super intuitive. And as you mentioned, I'm standing behind the puppet. In the early days, one of the early designs of the puppet had just a foam head with a fixed mask. So this puppet that I have now is animated, and it blinks and his eyebrows move.
Right. But you do all of that.
But I do all of that inside of his head. Yeah, I have triggers to move his face. But what's cool about having me behind the puppet is that when we had the foam face that had the fixed expression, that after some of our presentations, people came up and they were like, oh, I really liked how the Olaf's eyebrows moved. And they didn't. But what they were doing is because my face is so close to his face, they were like transferring my expression.
What a compliment, though.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a cool kind of double theatrical event.
Right. Do you find yourself having to match whatever Olaf's doing at all times, or is there a fluidity in which Greg doesn't need to be doing necessarily the same thing that Olaf's doing?
I think a lot of the time I am trying to do the same thing as him, at least in terms of like where we're looking.
Right.
And this cool trick that Michael Curry taught me too is because Olaf is shorter than most people on stage, he's looking up a lot, and he said, you should pitch your head up too. And so there's this funny thing that you might be able to catch where if he's looking up at something, so am I, or if he's looking up to make eye contact with people, so am I.
And you're constantly, you're constantly moving.
Yeah.
You can't stay still, right? Because it would just make the puppet kind of like
suddenly,
but that's got to take a toll, though.
Totally. I'm in PT twice a week. You know, I'm doing fine, but it's just like maintenance. But yeah, Michael gave me this great, Michael Curry gave me this great imagery. He was like, when you're standing still, just imagine you're waist deep in water. So he's always kind of like shifting a little bit or breathing. If I'm breathing hard, then so is he.
Right.
Just to kind of keep him alive in those moments of stillness.
It's
but
very
you know, he's so
cool.
ADD, he doesn't sit still for too long.
And did I hear right that you caught an early secret screening of Frozen? Is that right, with a fellow cast member at the time?
Yeah, at the time I was working on Cinderella with Santino Fontana, and he had voiced Hans, and he was like, oh, do you want to come see? I didn't even know anything about the movie. I didn't even know that Santino did it. He was like, there's this new Disney movie, it's called Frozen, do you want to come and see a screening? And I was like, sure, yeah, sounds great. And just, fell in love, obviously, with the...
I was going to say, so did you fall for it just as hard as...
Oh my gosh, yeah. The music and the story, story about female empowerment, it was like nothing I had, ever seen before. And of course fell for Olaf too. And if you had told me that night that I would be doing this, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
So when you were seeing it, were you like, Santino, that sounds a lot like you?
Yeah. No, I knew that he was
He
one
was
of the
just sitting there enjoying it still at this point.
Wait a minute.
I was like, wait.
His singing voice, man, I tell you.
That cartoon character has a buttery voice.
Exactly.
Like yours.
Tell me a little. You're from Boston.
Yeah.
You're a New England boy. I'm also from New England.
Where
Connecticut,
are you from?
Connecticut, born and raised.
Great.
Yes.
Go Pats.
Thank you very much. Did you? Although I'm not a big fan of the Patriots, but thank you. Sorry.
No, I'm not really a big sports fan.
I was gonna say it's
Don't
just
tell my
sports in
dad,
general.
but yeah.
So you've built a lot of snowmen.
I have.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah.
But when did the performing bug bite you? When did you know this is what I'm going to do for my life?
Yeah. I did theater growing up. My sisters and my cousins and I, we belonged to this children's theater company in Boston growing up, where we did, we'd sing as a choir in different places, and then, once a year we'd do a play. And I really, really liked it. And a lot of my siblings and cousins kind of fell away from it. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready to stop. And I remember I did a community theater production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I remember feeling this like extreme sense of community community and belonging and camaraderie. And I was like, oh my God, I was in high school, I think, probably, or junior high, and was like, oh my gosh, this is what I have to do for the rest of my life.
And as you mentioned, you went to school in Boston, but then you also went to school in London, or as Eric mentioned when he was describing it.
Yeah.
When did the move to New York sort of take place?
I stayed in Boston for a year after I graduated. I graduated in 2005 and stayed in Boston and worked at Starbucks. And I also was a part of this touring Shakespeare company that went to different high school cafetoriums across the tri-state area, and did Shakespeare plays. And then I moved here a year later. I had met my friend Alex Timbers, who asked me to. I met him up at Williamstown Theater Festival, and he asked me if I would be interested in moving to New York to be in my very first show in New York, which was Hell House at St. Anne's Warehouse.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
that
was
absolutely.
my very first show.
Okay,
and he was like, if you love it here, you can stay, and if you hate it, you can leave.
Right, and then Bloody Bloody,
yeah.
Andrew Jackson, and
before that was another show called Dance Dance Revolution, which was loosely based on the video
on the game,
where I played a Scottish robot policeman who was enforcing a no dancing law.
All of this birthed from that game.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
That's
and then Bloody Bloody was after that, and Peter and the Starcatcher.
And then Peter and the Starcatcher.
The Robber Bridegroom as well.
Incredible productions you've been a part of.
Thank you.
Absolutely
I've been lucky
amazing.
for Alex's friendship and collaboration.
Right. And now he's working on Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Which will be here before we know it.
I know.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see. I'm sending. It's going to be in Boston over the summer. I'm
yes.
sending my parents.
Are you going to have a little homecoming?
I might.
Look at
yeah,
that.
I
You have a lot to go back to.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out. What are some of the viewers? What would they like to know from Greg?
Yeah, so you were talking a little bit about your interest in puppets before this. Lisa would like to know, you have a puppet collection from around the world. How did that start, and what is your most prized puppet?
Totally. I do have a puppet collection from around the world. Several years ago, I was dating a person who was traveling the world at the time, and because of my obsession, she would send me puppets from like all parts of Asia. And one of my most favorite is, I can't remember which city or country it's from, but it's a monk. It might be from Tibet, and he's got like an orange robe and a bald cap. He's a marionette. Okay. And he's carrying this like singing bowl. He's got prayer beads on and stuff. He's really cool looking. That's my favorite.
Wow. And you're also very into plants.
Yes.
Right? The plants, everything I've read or watched, like your plants are very important in your dressing room and home.
Totally.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. And you have 2 cats, right?
I do.
And Pigeon. And is it Basil or Basil?
It's Basil because she's a girl, and I think Basil is kind of a masculine name.
Okay, yeah. No, my cats are named Noodles and Biscuits.
That's good.
So I really like where you went with the names for the cats.
I like the non-human or person names.
Absolutely. We call them the carb kitties.
That's really cute.
Okay, Shannon would like to know, they say you receive more no's than yeses in this business. Did you receive a lot of no's, and how were you able to keep trying?
My gosh, that's a great question. I continue to receive no's, and I received no's for a very, very long time. I moved to the city in 2006, and I catered. I worked for Keith McNally, who owns Balthazar and what used to be Pastis, Schiller's, Morandi in the West Village, the Minetta Tavern. And I used to work in their offices and take reservations. And I worked for them for 5 years while I was receiving no's and, rehearsing tiny plays in basements at night. And I think, everyone always says, like, only be in this business if you can't imagine yourself doing anything else. And, like, that part of that sounds kind of like bull. But part of it is really, really true.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was Carol Channing was on Martha Stewart once, and they introduced her as the first lady of Broadway. And she said, she came on and she said, "I'm not the first lady of Broadway. All the others just died." So there's also something to be said for persistence. Like you can keep saying no. Keep saying no. I'm not going anywhere. But then I think that's the only reason or anyone who's working is still working, is that they just they haven't left and they haven't quit. So
is it all still scary for you too? Like, does that kind of like, I know I don't think you auditioned for Frozen, right? But like, is that process still scary for you?
Totally. Especially if it involves singing. I feel like singing is such a vulnerable, personal act. I get way, way nervous if I have to sing. I'm so easy to do with like people in the dark, but like in a well-lit fluorescent room with 4 or 5 people behind a table, and sometimes you know them. Like sometimes singing for people you know is even more scary than singing for a group of strangers.
Sure.
Okay, someone would like to know. Okay, so we talked to Jelani a lot, and he met Jonathan Groff, and Casey Levy met Idina Menzel. Mm-hmm. Have you met Josh Gad?
I have met Josh Gad. We had a very short conversation like a year ago at a Tony party. Yeah, I have met Josh Gad.
Was there any part... I have met... Was there any part of your... Did you feel any kind of pressure to take some of what Josh Gad did with Olaf in the film and incorporate that into your performance, or did you give yourself the freedom of saying like, I get to build this Olaf?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I was given great freedom in the room, which I'm so grateful for. No one ever said do it more like, no one ever said that. But at a certain point too, with an estate and that is so beloved and respected, you feel like you have to kind of tip your hat as well,
absolutely,
or else they'll be throwing vegetables. So a lot of it is born of me, and a lot of it is a tip of the hat to Josh in the movie. For sure.
So when you see, because I know like when you listen to In Summer like on YouTube, a lot of those comments are like, oh, he sounds so much like Josh. He sounds so much like Josh.
Yeah.
That's got to feel. Well, how does that feel? Like,
well, it's nice. It's a huge compliment. I'm a huge fan of his. So it's lovely. I was actually at this event last night, and this kind of drunk woman came up and she was like, you're Gad. And I was like, no, I'm Hildreth. And she goes, you're kidding me, right? And I was like, no. She was like, no matter how much I told her that I was not
refused to be convinced.
And I take that as a huge compliment. I think he's an attractive guy.
Absolutely.
Okay, Kira would like to know, she's a big fan of your performance in Frozen and Cinderella. And she's wondering if there are any songs that ended up being cut that you miss, or that you like When Everything Falls Apart.
Totally. When Everything Falls Apart is this great number that was in the second act, that is our bonus track on the album, which I was very happy to record. And that happens all the time. I had a song in the second act of Cinderella, and because we had access to the entire Rodgers and Hammerstein trunk, it was this song that they had originally wrote for a play that was played over the radio in a scene in this play called I Haven't Got a Worry in the World. And it was this great, because Marla Mendel played Gabrielle, who is my love interest, one of the stepsisters in the show. It was this moment of us coming together. And we tap danced on the table in the house, and it was just kind of like this huge, expansive, lovely moment. And that was cut. It's always the second act, up-tempo, charm songs that have no place.
Right.
So yeah, I have a lot of experience with that, and it's heartbreaking. It's hard because you love it and you work hard, and it's hard also to not take it personally, but also
understanding how this all kind of works.
Totally. And as a person who grew up doing improv and writing comedy, things like that. So often such a large part of your process is having to kill your babies.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question.
Absolutely. Yeah. So David would like to know, being, or I'm sorry. I lost it. Which performance that you've seen as an audience member still sticks with you?
Wow. Great. Which performance that I've seen as an audience member still sticks with me? When I was studying in London, I went to the National Theatre and saw this Matthew Bourne dance piece called Play Without Words. And it was exactly what the title was. So it was this entire story done on a set that looked like a play set, that looked like a very realistic interior of a house or an apartment, and no one said anything. But the story was so clear. I'm sure they've filmed it for posterity at some point, or if you go to the National Theatre Archives, you can watch it. But I remember having my mind blown because I didn't know that theater or dance or the combination of the two could do something like that.
Right. And which of your performances?
Oh, is that what the question?
No, I'm just curious. Which of your performances would you, if you had a one night where you could go back and do that performance again, would you want to do now?
I think if I had my choice, I would go back and do Peter and the Starcatcher.
Yeah,
an
Elf.
evening of Peter and the Starcatcher, because I worked
love
on
that
that.
show.
A lot of us worked on that for about 4 years, and those people are still my best friends in the world. So to have like another night with those guys doing that play that I loved so much would be
Well, make it happen. I'll go.
Great.
I'll be there in the audience.
We'll
Greg,
get some ropes and some sticks.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming. You're on social media. Where should they follow?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Greg_Hildreth.
All right, go do that and go see Frozen at the St. James Theater. Mr. Greg Hildreth as Olaf. You'll love it. Thank you again so much, sir. Come back anytime.
Great.
Eric,
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes.
Great.
The seat's yours.
Great.
Absolutely. Eric, tell us a little bit about. Take us out.
Yeah, see you tomorrow, Greg. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. You can watch Live at 5 every weekday at 5 p.m. on Broadway.com. And if you like podcasts, you can also find this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts, so subscribe to Live at 5 there. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.